Okay, I'm getting ready. I'm getting zenned in. I'm getting zoned the fuck in. Okay, are we ready? We are. Okay. Hello, guys. Stop it. Hi, guys. Welcome to POV, You're My Therapist, the podcast where I vent, you listen, and you do not get paid. Okay. So, happy Easter Sunday. Today is Easter Sunday. It's a lovely day here in Georgia. Not really. There's a bit of sun, but it's quite gloomy outside. For some reason, in my head, I kind of just assumed that Easter Sunday was like Christmas where everything is closed. No, like people are still like going to work. There's still things you can do. I didn't know that. So, like, in my head, I just wasn't going to leave the house today, but I have some shoes that I need to return, so I'm going to go return them. They're those green heels that y'all saw in my story. And, not my story, but I made a TikTok video with them where it's like, with that sound that's like, I don't like, my money don't jiggle jiggle, it folds. Yeah. So I made like a little clip with them, and like I really thought that I could lie to myself and say that like, yeah, you can get accustomed to them. Just stretch out your ankles before you wear those heels. But then like it dawned on me the more that I like walked around my room in those heels that like no amount of stretching my ankles can make me walk comfortably in this thing. Like literally, and like honestly, and I'm not playing with it no more because I told y'all that I went out like in the middle of the week. Two of my toes are still numb. And like, and I was very scared because I'm like, why are my toes still numb? Like, what's going on here? Like, I'm a little bit frightened, you know what I'm saying? Like, I keep checking to make sure they're not going purple. But apparently, if you wear shoes for too long, and like, that's the thing. Like, I have a green pair that I went clubbing with. The girl was out all night with these shoes on, okay? Nary a painful moment. And I realized it's because I only wore them for 3 hours. I think that night, I wore the pink ones from, I'm going to say 6 o'clock because that's when I was like ready and I left my home. 6 o'clock till 4 in the morning. So that's a really long time to have my poor little toes squoze in those shoes. And so I was thinking about that and I was like looking at these green shoes and I was like, babes, like unless I'm sitting down and then I get up and then I sit back down, I don't even take a step or two, I need to return these shoes. So I'm going to return them and finally fold and buy some cute flats. Not like ballet flats. I don't believe in them. But like some cute little flat shoes that like I can actually withstand an entire evening in because like that was a shame. And like literally I'm wiggling my toes right now and like I can only feel a couple of them. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, so that has nothing, well actually yeah, because Easter Sunday, that means that place is open that I need to return them. But anyways, I thought that today is a very fitting time for me to talk about religion and spirituality because I've been meaning to talk about it and I feel like I talk about it sporadically throughout the podcast, but I never like sit down and like talk about religion and like my own religious beliefs. I've probably mentioned this before, but I am a Christian and that wasn't really always the case. I feel like more than anything, I was raised Catholic because I went through all of the 7 sacraments had a big communion and everything. And like communions, like for children, in my community, in the Haitian community, are so over the top and expensive that you would, I mean, the concept is a wedding, period. You're getting married to Jesus. So, yeah, my mom made my communion gown because like I've mentioned before, my mom is a dress designer or she used to make dresses and yeah, so I had like a very nice communion gown, like very, very nice. And honestly, my mother will probably be making my wedding dress. Not even gonna lie. Like, yeah, she'll probably be making my wedding dress. She made my sister's wedding dress and she made a couple of my cousins' wedding dresses. But she doesn't like making people clothes because she just doesn't like having to have my mummy, this is so off topic, but my mom does not like to have bedside manner. She doesn't like to find a way to say her words nicer, you know. She doesn't like it. And like that's why she left making dresses, because like she literally would tell me about like these fat women that would come in, and she's a fat girl herself, so all these fat women that would come in, and the dress would be a size 22, and if you do not change that tag to a size 12, all hell will break loose. So she would like tell me about that, and she was just like, I just hated having to like be so nurturing the people's feelings. And like, and she right, because she makes me dresses sometimes, and like she like will tailor some of my clothes or like give me opinions on like outfits I wear, and she's like, your fupa is hanging out, and I'm like, who asked you? I didn't ask. I asked, do I look good, do I look bad? It's a yes or no question. Why are you bringing my fupa into this? Leave her out of it. This ain't her business. This ain't her business. But yeah, so anyways, she will probably be making my wedding dress, and there'll probably be a lot of fighting, okay? But yeah, so comedians in the Haitian Catholic community, ooh, over the top. But I feel like my relationship with religion goes way farther back, because every time I think about my youth and like my childhood up until the ages of like specifically 8 and 9, I feel like a lot of it was rooted around it was just rooted around the church. Like growing up in the church, everything that we did revolved the church. Like I went to parochial school, I went to nun school, I went to Catholic school, every private school I went to had a religious underlining. Like that was a very big thing. And like they weren't only like preparing you for the world and like your education, they were like preparing you for like, I don't know, like some religious thing. Like they wanted to keep us religious. And like I even remember like when I was in like obviously America, when I lived in New England, I went to a private school that it was a Catholic school, and we had a course every day called religion, which is where like I remember this book because weirdly enough it was one of the most colorful books we had, but like basically it would like break down morals of the Bible, and like it was like a study course, like just like how you learned Spanish, you learned religion. So we talked about religion a lot. Did any of it stick to me? No, absolutely not. Why would it? Never did. And I feel like because growing up in like a uber religious family, and like it made me like really not like religion. Like really not like religion. Like growing up, like my grandmother, I feel like I didn't really feel much, because I lived with my grandmother for a while. I didn't really feel much of like a religious pressure, but like when it came to religion and my mother, oh my goodness, like my mother has a lot of Aquarius placements. So let's just get that out of the way. She's extremely stubborn. And when it came to religion, like she forged a really intense relationship with religion because she wasn't married. And like, you know that saying that when it's like when your back's against the world, well, what is it, when the world turns on you, what is that saying, god damn it, it's from The Lion King. It's Timon and Pumbaa who says it. It's like, when the world turns on you and you turn your back to the world, something like that, who do you have? It's like when your back's against the wall and there's nobody else to call, who do you call? Jesus, okay? That was my mother, okay? So, and then all the times she called Jesus, Jesus answered. So she had a very close relationship with God because, like, you know, for some people, religion is the solving to all their problems. But I think, like, sometimes that love of something, like, puts a fear in you. And, like, a lot of religious people have, like, this insane fear that their children are gonna go to hell. That, like, you're gonna die, you're gonna go to hell, and like God is not gonna love you. Like they really have like these intense beliefs, and like my mom for sure had intense beliefs, like to the point where I feel like it like mentally like it fucked with me like a lot, and like it was just like not good. And it was like that for a while, and of course I started rebelling, because why would I not? And I think my sister had like a different approach. She was just like uninvolved. She was like, I have my own shit to go through. Or at least that's how I felt. I don't felt like, let me take that back. I don't think she was uninvolved in everything that was going on. I think she just had her own coping mechanisms and I had mine. So religion like was just at every fucking corner of our lives. Like it was horrible because like the root of so many religious people is judgment. It's being judgmental. It's being like holier than thou. It's like God loves me more. You're fucking up, let me fix you. I need to save you. Let me save you. Like I need to save you so you can come to heaven with me. And it's like, bitch, why are you so sure you're going to heaven? Who told you that, Miss Judgy Pants? like, you're sitting here looking at everybody and thinking that you're going to go to hell. You're going to go to hell. Oh my God, I'm the only one who knows Jesus. I need to save everybody. Bitches like you, I'll drag you to hell with me. Like, really? I hate that shit so much. And it's really prevalent in like every religious, like so many religious groups. Like, it doesn't matter, like, if you're Haitian Catholic, if you're American Christian, if you're white Christian, if you're a white Catholic, like, it's so prevalent. And it's like, it's so annoying because I'm like, y'all are complaining about people leaving the church when in fact it is that exact behavior that makes people leave the church. Like, and the thing like that annoyed me like for a long time was that I just didn't, I was already having a hard time like fitting in school and like just growing up and like having these weird sorts of familial relationships with people. And then I had to be sprung into the church where, mind you, it was obviously, I'm Haitian, so it was a black church. And actually, we went to two churches. We didn't just go to one church, bitch. We went to two churches. We went to an American Catholic church, and then we went to a Haitian Catholic church. So on Friday nights, I went to a Haitian Catholic church, and then Sunday I went to the American Catholic Church. And then from Monday to Friday, I had religion in school. And then on, I think, Thursdays and Saturdays, I had after school religious programs that I had to attend. That one of them was at the regular American church, and then the other one was at the Haitian Catholic church. The American regular church, the American Christian church was not that bad because I was one of the only young people there, and it was like a bunch of old people, and like I felt like they were a lot less judgmental. Meanwhile, at the Haitian Catholic church, it's just like, oh my Jesus, I feel like sometimes when you're so focused on like being perfect, you just overlook like the small things. And like, I remember like I did not get along with any of the fucking people at the Haitian Catholic Church because they did not like me because I sounded white. And like, if you are a black girl, it's specifically black girls that go through this. If you are a black girl who has had the misfortune of being somewhere in between suburbia and your ethnic affiliation and having to navigate both sides of that, and your ethnic affiliation being purely that ethnic affiliation, like there's no mixing pot, whatever, it's like pure Haitian, like pure ethnic affiliation, bitch, you're just in for a ride. You're just in for a ride because like I didn't get along with a lot of these other kids because they lived in a part of the city where there were a lot of Haitian people. So they were very much in tune with their Haitian culture. Meanwhile, you would have thought that I would have been the most Haitian because I was fresh off the boat. Like I was American, but I was living abroad in Haiti. Like I was fresh off the boat. Like I was the most Haitianist of them all. And yet, they had the nerve to be like, you're not Haitian enough. You're not black enough. Like, why do you talk like a white girl? And I'm not going to lie, like, I did, honestly, listening back to myself in this podcast, I'm like, damn, you do sound like a Valley girl. So I can only imagine. But, like, I feel like the Southern twang that I gained over the last 15 fucking years has kind of, like, smoothed the edge of my Valley girlification. So I'm like, I can only imagine what I sounded like as a child with a higher pitched voice and no southern edge to this twang, no southern twang to this voice, whatever. So like I got bullied a lot, and like my mom would like try to get me like be friends with these kids, but like these kids were fucking evil. Like I remember like there was one, this actually like high key traumatic, but like there was this group of siblings, and it was like a girl, her brother, and her youngest brother. And I remember one time I had a sleepover at their house, and they had a hamster. What is up with kids and fucking hamsters? But they had a hamster, and I remember I forget what I said. I said God. Oh my God. Yes, this is what happened. I said God. And this was right after we had the lesson on saying God's name in vain. I didn't say God damn it. I didn't say none of that. I said God. And I remember that older sibling, she did not like me. She was, I don't know what her problem was with me, but she did not like me at all. And like, she was like very, I don't know if you guys have ever had somebody who is like, their body mass is dense and they throw their weight around. Like, they physically throw their weight around to harm you. She was like very aggressive, like in the way she interacted with me. And like, I can't remember if she was like that with other people, but she was extremely aggressive with the way she interacted with me specifically. And like, she was a bully. Like, she was a bully. Like, she was dense and she was a bully. And I remember we had the lesson on God, saying God's name in vain. And I said, oh my God, like at one point, that whole fucking night, like from the drive from the church to her house, to that whole sleepover, I remember they made me sleep in a closet because I said God's name in vain, and that they couldn't be associated. Like, the kids did this, their parents didn't know this was happening, obviously, but because they couldn't be associated with somebody who would say God's name in vain. And I remember that happening and being like, you know what, like, that's low-key fine because I don't like y'all anyways. Like, I don't feel safe around you people. And so I remember the next morning, or I think I actually went downstairs to sneak watching TV. I did sneak watching TV. And the next morning when I woke up and like my mom was coming to get me, I remember I saw their dad and he had like a wife beater on and he had a tattoo on his arm. And I remember him coming up to me and saying, oh, my daughter told me you were saying God's name in vain. And I was like, all I said was, oh my God. And he was like, I could tell on his face that like he thought it was stupid, but like he still had to make a point because like it was his daughter. And he was like, yeah, well, that's wrong. And then I remember looking at his tattoo and being like, we also just learned that tattoos are not allowed in the Bible. Like, I remember that, and like, that experience making me realize, like, you're a fucking hypocrite. I don't think I knew the word hypocrite then, but I knew I knew the meaning of it, and I was like, you're one of those. And I was like, your kids are one of those, and I'm never coming back to this motherfucking house again. And like, that was the thing about like me as a kid. I feel like I do have a lot of religious trauma, but I also feel like because I had a lot of sense as a kid and I did not like hypocrites. Like, I did not like people who said one thing and did another thing. Like, from an early age, that was something that I just like could not vibe with. And like, and I got in trouble a lot for that. And like, I remember one time my mom, she would like make us like rush to clean the house, and like yelling at everybody at the last minute trying to get the house clean. I remember one time I told her, child, I almost lost my life that day. I said to her, I was like, do your friends know that you keep your house dirty and then when it's time for people to come over, you rush clean it? Child, whew, my West Indian mother almost put my ass in the grave, child. I don't think I talked back for like 2 years after that. I learned my life in. But I had a lot of like religious trauma, and I just couldn't vibe with it. And then by the time I was in middle school, girl, I was like, I'm an atheist. My mother's worst nightmare. I was like, I'm an atheist. Sorry. And yeah, and honestly, like, I don't think there was much conversation in between it because I was like, I'm an atheist. I don't believe in anything. You can't make me believe in anything. You can take my ass to church. That's fine. I don't care, but I don't believe in this religion. I don't care for it at all. Uh, and that wasn't a conversation for a long time because like honestly, I went through a time where I just like didn't really speak to my mom, or my sister, and like, just like a lot of shit that I just didn't really feel like dealing with at the time. So I later on, I don't know what kind of got me back into religion. Like, I remember a lot of my feelings about religion were like closely tied with my relationship with my mother because like she was uber religious. But then for some fucking reason, I don't know what it was, I don't know what kind of miracle happened, but she changed her views on religion slightly because I think she had her own experience with people who were just like extremely hypocritical, and she kind of realized that like structured religion and like religion that you can make money off of, all of that, like it's that community, a lot of the time it's not a real community. If you don't have anything to offer, they don't want you, they don't care. Like, and I think she realized that because if you don't have anything to offer, they don't care. This is not the church that you see in the Bible where Jesus is like, bring me your poor, you're hungry, you're tired. Bring me your crooks, your prostitutes, your whatever. Churches are literally like, don't come here if you've seen a prostitute in the last 90 years. And by seen, I mean laid eyes upon. And by laid eyes upon, I mean you didn't even know they were a prostitute, but then they became a prostitute. We're going to send you to hell because of that, because somehow you're at fault for that. Like, it's not like that. And like, for me, like, religious is not religion, organized religion is not a comfort. Like, it's absolutely not. That community that people talk about when they're like, oh, I love my church family, I love my church. Yeah, stop donating. Stop offering them things. Go through a bad time and see where that church family is. And honestly, and if your church family sticks by you, Jesus Christ, you found a family. Good for you. But for a lot of the times, that's not the fucking case. And I know that wasn't the case. And especially that Haitian church that we were going to, that was not the fucking case. You stop having things to offer them, kick it to the curb, honey. So for a long, so after that she kind of like had different views on religion, and she kind of like started practicing her Christianity in a more personal manner. And I think later on, as like I grew, not like grew up, but like as I grew older, that's kind of what I started doing. Was just kind of, I don't know, understanding Christianity in a way that made sense to me, that I didn't feel like was contrived or conflicted with anything else. Like, and honestly, like, I'm still learning about myself, like, as a religious person, and like what it actually means for me, divine, to be religious, because I think it's still confusing. Like, one of my biggest irritations is the simple fact that, like, you cannot call God. Like, you cannot hit that nigga up on the phone and be like, bro, can I please just like tell me what's going on. Like, you can't do that. And that's like one of my biggest frustrations, and because of that, I'm always seeking tangible means of understanding what's happening around me. And like, and and you know, sometimes like you can see God at work in your life, but like, I feel like I personally still have a level of doubt, and the level of doubt is just simply that I think there's a lot of things in my life that I'm just impatient with, that I want change for right now. And like, it's a constant battle for me to remind myself, hey, there's something called alignment. If this thing came into your life and you weren't ready, you would have fucked it up. If you came into that thing's life and they weren't ready, they would have fucked it up. What is the problem with just having patience and waiting until the lines cross at the exact path that they're meant to? For me, that's like such a huge issue, because I always think like, well, what about the people who, like, they're fucking up left and right, and then they get everything they want, and then they learn how to be perfect. And it's like, yeah, that's fine, but there's 7 billion people on the planet, and they all have their own lessons and trajectory and things that they need to learn. And like, that's always been like one of my biggest issues for in religion, is like kind of me comparing myself to what's going on in other people's lives and asking God, like, why is that not me? Like, am I not, like, what did I do? Like, why is this happening to me? Like, and a lot of the time, like, I'm like, I feel cursed. I feel really cursed. And I've said this before, but like, I've had conversations with friends where I'm like, it's either I'm cursed or I'm divinely protected. And then I swear to God, within seconds, it's like a bitch slap to the face, like pure evidence in my fucking face that I am in fact divinely protected and I'm not cursed. And that what I thought I wanted was not what I actually want. And it's just not what I wanted. So because of that, because I'm constantly in a search for tangible means and tangible answers, like, I always I always had friends who would, like, they're like, why don't you go see a psychic? Why don't you go see a psychic? And like, I never really wanted to, because I was kind of afraid, and still am like a little afraid that like this goes against my religion and like my religious beliefs. And especially, it's weird because like when I think about it, I don't even think about the, I'm not thinking about the Catholicism. I'm not thinking about the Christianity. I'm more so thinking about the Haitian part of it. Because if you don't know this, Haitians, one of the biggest religions in Haiti is called Voodoo. And a lot of people like think it's a joke. They think it's just funny. They think it's just witchcraft and brujeria and like all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it's really not. And like, I've seen it firsthand. Like, this is where the episode gets a little bit spooky. Because I'm full of stories that I can tell you about, like, firsthand accounts of seeing voodoo happen in Haiti. And growing up in Haiti, I lived in Haiti for 8 solid years. And then for a couple years after that, I would go back there for 3 months in the summer. So I am Haitian. I lived in Haiti, family in Haiti. I speak the language. I went to school in Haiti, all of it. Like all of it. Like I am a Haitian person. Like, you know what I'm saying? I have not known one single instance of somebody using voodoo for good. Not a single one. Not a single one. And I think a lot of the times when you get on the internet and you have people who are Haitian, but they're like a generation removed, or they weren't raised there, or whatever have you. Like they didn't experience it firsthand. You get a lot of people talking about voodoo in a positive light. And to me, that word just has such a negative connotation. And if you see it in a positive connotation, that's good for you. Congratulations. I have just never witnessed it used in a good way. So growing up in Haiti and like even like talking about it like makes me a little bit nervous because like people are so wicked with it. And like I've had people like in my own family like literally try to do things to other members of our family by means of voodoo and witchcraft. And it's just I've just never seen it like in a good light at all, like ever. Um but growing up there was a witch doctor who lived behind our house. And it's weird because like I don't remember a lot like visually, like senses wise, I don't remember a lot about Haiti itself, like places, people, things. I don't really remember like sensory is not a thing that I feel like, you know how like you smell something and you're transported back. That's not really something I experienced with Haiti because I think like the memories are so locked in and they're so vivid that like that type of like sensory thing is like it's a little bit more whimsical, like, you know what I'm saying? But the only one of the only sensory memories that I have of Haiti is the first time that I stepped into this witch doctor's house. And I don't remember what I was doing there, but I remember that there were like streamers of every color lined like every inch of the roof to the point where like it kind of looked like, where Nemo lives and how there's like those little fingery thingies. It was like that all over the roof, and there were flags everywhere, and there was like a big statue of Mary, and like there was a big statue of Jesus, and like a big statue of like all these saints and stuff. And I remember like it kind of looked like a big gymnasium, and I remember like feeling so what is the word? I wasn't at ease. I wasn't at ease. Like I felt like I wasn't alone. I was in there alone, but I felt like I wasn't alone. Like I felt very much like the room was full, you know? So I always kind of knew like that there was something going on there. Sorry. I always kind of knew that there was something going on there. And but I didn't realize the heaviness of it until I grew up, right? I had moments as a child that I didn't really know how to explain. Like there was an issue, not an issue, but I remember like one time seeing like a goat and like being very aware that this goat was not a goat. Like that it was something else. I just didn't know what it was. And but I don't really think I ever told anybody that. And then also like I had other experiences where like now we're getting into like fucking Halloween spooky story. I'll save some of these stories for Halloween, but um I remember like there was anyway, so I'm going to tell you a couple of voodoo stories, all right? So, growing up in Haiti, like my mom would tell me this story specifically, which is when she as a child decided I'm not about to play with voodoo, okay? Cuz my grandma was kind of like a voodoo priestess. And then she what is the word? She converted to Christianity. And I mean like the real kind of converted to Christianity, because a lot of voodoo people in Haiti will say that they're Christians, but like they kind of pull from one side or the other and then they, do whatever they're doing. So my my mom like has all of these stories of things that happened to her when she was a kid, and like things that really like freaked her out, and I have a couple of the same. um and that kind of carries with you even when you've left the country, because like my mom was telling me the other day how I have a cousin, and his name is Ben. And when we were kids, we had like this weird obsession with the trash. We had this weird obsession with the trash. So Ben and I had this weird obsession with the trash, because like I think in our heads we kind of thought like it was like Mary Poppins like portal, because like in our head like everything you put in the trash disappeared. So we would put everything in the trash. We put shoes in the trash, we put clothes in the trash, we put all that shit in the trash, and everything would automatically, I think it was like a chute, so like it went to outside, it went to the dumpster. So my mom is like losing her shoes, she's losing stuff for work and all of that, and like to the point where like she's like freaking out, because she's like, I left this stuff here and now I can't find it anywhere in this house, and it's always one shoe that is missing. So my mom and my aunt, they think that there's a ghost in the house. They think that the house is haunted, or like somebody's doing voodoo on them. They have a whole entire exorcism for the house, like a whole like burning of sage and blessing of the house. And then one day they catch me and my cousin hauling. We're like 4. Okay, we're the same age. We're like 4. We're hauling a bag of rice to put in the trash. And my sister was the one who saw us, and she was like, oh my God, has it been you too? We're like 4. We don't get what's going on. We just think that we're throwing things into a different dimension and it's fun. So they, my mom and my aunt thought like it was voodoo, and like somebody was, you know, like I don't know, like casting spells on them and shit. But like that's the kind of thing that like kind of sticks with you, and like it haunts you, like even when you're in a place where you don't know anybody. Like they didn't know anybody at that time who could have been doing that to them, but like it was still like a very big fear. And it's like when bad things are happening to you, kind of resort to thinking that it's because of that. So like as I've grown older, like obviously anything that had to do with like witchcraft, crystals, spells, moon dance, I don't know, all of that, like I kind of stayed away from it, because I just didn't want to somehow be practicing voodoo and not really realizing it. And then but then the issue of me needing tangible answers came up, and I felt like that was more harmful to my mental health than fucking going to see a psychic. Like genuinely. Cuz I'm like, it's just a psychic. Like either they're going to be right or they're going to be wrong, and not even the fact that psychics are not voodoo. Like they're just not. And and so I was like, all right, like I'm going to kind of like I'm going to figure this out. Like I'm going to think about this a little bit more and try to understand like where tarot and psychics fit into my religion that I have. So and and honestly, like I could be a skeptic and say that like I don't think that any of those things are true, or um that they're true, or that they have any real meaning to them, but I'd be lying, because y'all, last night I was having a conversation with my friend, and I straight up told her, this is exactly what I said. I was talking about somebody, and I said, I think they just need to come around. Like, I think I need to give them space to grow, to heal, to really think about like what they want in their life, and then when the time comes, the time comes. And like this is somebody from my past that I do have a history with, and that the more that I'm in therapy, the more that I think about him, the more that I think about it, the more that I'm in therapy, the more that I realize that like, not all of it, oh, I don't even want to say that not all of it was like his fault, or my fault, or anything like that. I think it was really just things just weren't aligning. Like things were out of alignment. They weren't working. Like these things were not in alignment. They were not working. And, this friendship was never really going to survive, because we were just entirely in two different places. And I give my friend this entire spiel. When I tell you guys, I do not tell my psychic shit. I don't tell her shit, bro. I don't. Because I'm always trying to catch her in a lie. I'm always trying to catch her in a lie. Because I'm like, today's going to be the day that I find out you've been scamming me. Period. So I don't tell her anything. I don't tell her about my desires. I don't tell her about what I do. I don't tell her about the men I talk to. I don't do none of it. None of it. As far as she knows, I'm not straight. I don't tell this lady nothing. The only thing that I told her was that I was 26. I told her I was a Scorpio. And I told her that my love life was dry. That's exactly what I told her. I told her my shit was dry, like for real. And so she initially had said something during our first reading that kind of like threw me off my caliber and sent me down a spiral, for real. And made me like was asking myself a lot of questions. So I finally had to let that go because I was like, bitch, you're not finna spiral over some shit that's either is or isn't. So give it a rest. And then I had a moment with the person that some of this stuff involved that basically was a reflection of something she said. Like, you know how like somebody is like, it's like you're studying and your principal, not your principal, your teacher is like, this may be on the test, and then it's on the test and you're like, oh yeah, we talked about this. That's literally what it was like. I had that moment and I just literally was like, we talked about this. And then it happened in real life with the person. So last night, she pulls a couple cards for me. And when I tell you, it is literally verbatim the conversation that I had with my friend literally an hour before. And to the point where I said, did this bitch tap my phone? Because it is the exact same fucking conversation. She's telling me all this stuff and then she's like, but you have to give it space. She was like, you have to give it space because people can change, they can grow, they can heal, they can do all of these things. But if it's not in alignment, it's not in alignment. And she was like, and what I'm getting from spirit is that at this point, these things are coming into alignment. They're going to come into alignment pretty soon. And I'm like, I was just like really shocked because like, it wasn't as vague as I'm making it seem. It was quite fucking specific. But I don't want nobody listening to this goddamn podcast who knows me in real life knowing my business. It was really fucking specific. Like when I tell you, she said something that had to do with a time, place, and at one point she even repeated a phrase that this person says. And I was like, I guess I'm not going to catch you in a lie today. So like I want to, like a part of me wants to believe that like, psychic and tarot and all that stuff is like malarkey. But then shit like this happens. And this has been the lady that does all of my readings. And when I tell you every time she does one for me, it's just confirmation of it all. It's just confirmation of it all. Like, and I'm at a place where I can't necessarily reject some of the spiritual things that are happening to me in my life. I'm still learning and trying to understand where all of these things fit, because I will say, like, I feel the most comfort and at home with my Christian religion. And I don't know if there is a world where tarot and psychics and Christianity can go hand in hand. I have no idea. But I'd like to imagine there is, but maybe I'm lying to myself. But it's just like that need for tangibility. I think it's so unfair that like something somewhere put us here and gave us no definitive answer, no course of action, no definitive path, no definitive anything, and just said, babe, figure it the fuck out. And that does not sit well with me. That to me is intensely rude and really kind of awful. And honestly, Elmo's gonna sue because, like, that's like dropping your kids off at school and giving them no kind of guidelines. That ain't fair. That's not fair to me. Like, one time, totally going off topic because we're nearing the end of the podcast, anyways. I might revisit this subject at some point in the future, but going off topic, one time I was on conspiracy TikTok and I saw this conspiracy where this woman was saying that she believes that there are 3 groups of ruling aliens that have been running. She said that she believes that there's 3 groups of ruling aliens that have been running the same experiment on Earth for the last millennia. Okay, just putting people on Earth and seeing how long it takes us to kill ourselves. I believe that. And then every time they need to redo the experiment, they just send another Big Bang. I believe that because at this point, I'm like, this shit is weird. Like, I probably am a sim. Like, I probably am a simulation. And I try not to think about that too much, but it does cross my mind a lot. But yeah, so I'm just like, I think it's really, that's why I be feeling like we're experiments, because like how you put people in close proximity of each other. They got to work together. You don't give them no kind of guideline. Well, I mean, they kind of do kind of give you a guideline, but like, and I mean, like, those guidelines are like the Bible, Quran, Torah, all of those religious texts. But then you let like half of that shit burn down in the Library of Alexandria. And then people have such short lifetimes that even if you in a lifetime, in a generation, you start coming to a conclusion about something that could literally fix the world, guess what? Dead. You die. And then your little shithead kids do not pick up where you left off. And then it's just like the same cycle over and over and over and over and over. Which makes me think that if we are an experiment and if we are simulations, maybe in the next simulation, they'll give us a longer lifetimes. But then you think about that, not me going on this whole tangent. Then you think about that, and then you think about how, like, in the Bible, people were living up to, like, 800 years old, and they was still fucking up. Like, it was given how you childish at 750 years old. Like, it maybe it's just people. It's just people, and, like, just being dumb as hell. Like, anyways, so that's my overall frustration with religion, and, like, and just how people will take it and bend it and shape it to feed their narrative through it. They will take religion and they will flip it upside down, make it pop, make it twerk. Like, literally yesterday, one of my mom's friends was telling her about how she went on this entire rant about Republicans because she was saying how this lady that she knows is now a staunch Republican and she's super against abortions because she feels that if abortion had been legal, she would not have had the 3 abortions she had. And she would have had kids now. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You would have been abusing those fucking kids because you know why? You didn't want them at the time. Be thankful for the abortion because you probably would have been in jail instead, wishing you aborted those damn kids that you didn't even want. Like, shit like that. Like, you cannot take your own moral failures, take the religion, decide to wrap that around your moral failure like a pretty bow, and then decide that that is the standard and that is the gift of shit that you're giving everybody. Like, that's really one of my biggest issues. And also, I live in the South. I live in a place called the Bible Belt. And when I tell you I have never met more hypocritical people than I have in the South, oh my God. The hypocrisy, the lying, the manipulation, the better than thou, the lack of grace, the lack of empathy, the lack of care, the lack of love. They don't even, so many people that I've run into in the South do not have that love or care for their own family. They will give it to everybody that they meet in church, out of church, on their mission trips to Africa to help the poor children of Africa. Meanwhile, their poor fucking child is at home, gay, in the closet, feeling like they need to die because their parents have zero love to give them because they are gay. Like, I literally cannot stand it. And if I could take that Bible belt and use it like a real leather belt and whoop these people in the hiney, I would. Like, it's the craziest thing to me. It's like there's such a huge lack of self-awareness here. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. And the reason why is because religion is at the root of it. Like, I don't think that religion is inherently bad. I think that people use religion to do inherently bad things. They use religion to justify inherently horrible things, like slavery. We literally do not have to we don't have to go into that. But like, and like sometimes, like, I'm not even gonna lie, like sometimes, like when I really want to tussle with God, I be like, why you let niggas be slaves for so long? What's good with that? What's good with that? Why you let black people be slaves for so long? 400 years, bitch? For a hundo? Like, why did you do that? Why did you make me fat? Like, I be, when I really want to tussle, I'm like, why'd you make me fat? Why is Russia fighting with everybody? Why? Why? I'll straight up be like asking God these questions. And then the other one, when I'm combing my hair, this is so awful, but when I'm combing my hair and my naps getting smooth and my arm is hurting and my hair is like fucked up, I'm like, why did you give me this hair? My shit is fine and coarse and it likes to tangle. You hate me. Like, all the time, like, there's things that, like, I ask like that, but then later on, like a responsible adult I am, I try to remind myself that just like there is this higher power that I believe in, that I find safety in, that I thank for when the good things happen to me, there's also like evil in the world, and we see evil every day. And you know, the Bible talks about God. Actually, my mom brought up a really good point the other day. But okay, but there's evil in the world, and so the evil is gonna affect life itself, and it's gonna make things hard, and it's gonna, you know, I don't really think that religion and Christianity and God itself is a fix all to everything, but it is a place of calm and a place of peace to find refuge from all the evils of the world, because there's a lot of it and you can only do so much good to outweigh the evil. But this is what I wanted to say. The other day my mom brought up a really good point, and my mom was saying that a lot of times people, when they think about Jesus, they always think about him as, she was saying she doesn't understand why it seems like there's probably a huge possibility that Jesus probably had a wife, and the Bible, the King James Version, and like all the American English, Anglo-Saxon versions probably removed it. And she was like, she was going on this whole rant about nuns and priests and all these things, and like them being single and like being virgins and all this shit. She was going on and on about this. And she was saying how the Bible basically tells you that Jesus comes to the earth to experience humanity, to be a human. And she was like, so why does everybody want to believe that he is on earth acting like a perfect God when he's not? When he's 12 years old, running away from his mom, cussing her out at the temple, flipping tables at the temple, cussing people out, when there are people who, when he's nice to people who nobody else are nice to. She was like, in reality, like if you actually take the text for what it says and you think, you know, you apply some critical thinking, Jesus comes to earth to experience humanity and the best and the worst of humanity. That includes sex, that includes marriage, that includes drugs, probably addiction, that includes insane feelings of pain. If you told me to be a drug addict today or to get nailed to the cross, a person who gets nailed to the cross, you're okay. Like, you probably went through a little drug spout. You know what I'm saying? Like, for God to really understand, not God, but for, I'd imagine that for Jesus to really understand and sympathize with humanity the way that the Bible says he does, he probably had to come to earth and experience the worst and the best, meaning pain, drugs, addiction, hurt, and the best of it, love, acceptance, community, to understand the full spectrum of being human. When I die, I know there are a million feelings that I'm never going to feel. And God felt all of them. So, and I don't think that there's really anything inherently wrong about the Bible. I think you just have to use a lot of critical thinking when you read it, and to kind of read it with an open mind, and to not go into it desperate for answers, because I think that's where my frustration comes from is like when I'm desperate for answers and I go reading into the Bible. No, I don't think that really works, and I don't think that's helpful for anybody at all. But yeah, okay, Jesus. So these big topics are like really, they're kind of hard to get your ideas out. So I know sometimes I'm like rambling and like scrambling to get my shit together, but thank you for listening anyways, and trying to keep up with my fucking thoughts running around my head. This is the end of the podcast. If you made it this far, comment a century of style. That's what my tote bag from Architectural Digest says. If you made it this far, comment a century of style, okay? Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for sitting with me and listening to me try to get my thoughts around this big ass concept, Jesus. But yeah, so thank you, and I hope you have a nice Easter. I hope you have a nice week. I hope you feel loved. I hope you feel accepted. I hope you feel at peace. I hope you feel warmth. I hope you feel like you matter, and you do matter. Even if you feel like you don't matter, you matter to me, and you matter to everybody else that you have ever ran into in this life. I love you so much. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating or a review. If you're listening on Spotify, leave a rating. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, leave a like, follow and subscribe. Subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I post. As always, my Instagram is VinePhilo. That's also my Twitter, VinePhilo, VinePhilo. And my TikTok is DPhile, DPhile. Thank you for joining me this week. I will see you next week. I love you, baby. Bye.